Look up in the sky, everybody. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Fanboys Anonymous. Welcome to the latest podcast of the monthly Roundtable discussion meeting, I guess you could call it, if it's a bit of a support group or something of the sort. Today we are going to talk about Man of Steel, and we're going to branch off, obviously, into more topics Superman related. But on the panel for this episode, episode 7, we have Michael Burhan.
What up, people?
Michael Paden.
You caught me with my finger up my nose.
Matt Press.
You.
Shaun Walker.
Howdy.
And Chris Locs.
Yo.
And I am, of course, your host, Anthony Mango. And I'm a fanboy as well as everybody else here. So we're going to run down everything from a fanboy's perspective when it comes to Soups himself, the big boy in blue. Or, you know, the 1,000 other nicknames that he has. The Last Son of Krypton, the Boy Scout, the Metropolis Marvel. All these really terrible ones that people don't bring out a whole lot.
What was the Wonder Woman Shagger.
The Action Ace, apparently, was one of his.
Action Comics reference.
Yeah. But more importantly is the Man of Steel. Actually, let's start off with that. Let's start off with that before we start talking plot and everything. What did you guys think of the title? I actually, at first, was annoyed about it because I really hated how we had Batman Begins and then The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. It could have been Batman The Dark Knight and all that. So I really was hoping for Superman Man of Steel as opposed to just Man of Steel. What do you guys think?
It was the only way they could go with this because they felt like the Superman franchise after Superman Returns kind of had a negative connotation with it. You know, you don't want to name a film Superman the Man of Steel because it probably wouldn't test well. So they decided to just go with Man of Steel, which is fine. You know, we knew it was about Superman. We knew his name was Man of Steel, so that helped.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they didn't really even need to put Superman in the title at all. There was no need. I mean, everybody knows the character, knows the symbol. You know what I mean? All you need to do is put the symbol on a poster, and everybody knows a new Superman movie's coming. So it didn't really bother me that this Superman wasn't actually in the title. It doesn't really make a difference.
Unless you add too many little whips into the symbol, and everybody's just like, "Where the hell is that? An S or is that a Q?" What about the fact of using Man of Steel instead of Last Son of Krypton?
You know, that actually could be a really cool title. You should work for them.
Well, the fact is they're probably going to use it on the next movie anyway. They're going to do a secondary title. So I think in a sense we knew that this was an origin story. So they put a title which was, for those who don't know, Man of Steel used to be a big secondary Superman comic. I believe it started around the 80s and continued on through the 90s. And ended up discontinuing before the 52 was started. So, you know, that's probably where they got the name from.
Yeah, but I feel like a name like Last Son of Krypton, it's hard enough to get your girlfriend to go see something called Superman, let alone Last Son of Krypton. So yeah, I think that's why they didn't go with that one.
Depends what type of movie she wants to go to. You know, if she wants to make out throughout the whole movie, but you're like, bitch, calm down, I want to watch the movie.
Speaking of which, when I went to see it, I went to the midnight show, of course, and there were a lot of people talking during the movie. I think that this one group of people were completely drunk the whole time. But
yeah, I can't do midnight releases for that exact reason.
Oh, see, I love that. I love having that environment. And that actually made a lot of these things more entertaining to me because I love when you get like the angry fanboys that when I went to see Transformers and they had that scene where Optimus Prime pulls out like a sword or whatever. This guy that was sitting at the row in front of me went, "Ew!" And I was just like, "This is so fucking great!" Like, this dude's like orgasming over this because he's such a big fan. But that scene, the Man of Steel scene where the woman says, "I think he's kind of hot." There was this woman sitting a couple rows behind me that just goes, "Amen, sister."
You know what the funniest thing? The only movie I've actually seen at midnight showing was Freddy vs. Jason. And there's a scene where Jason kills Kelly Rowland, and someone just jumps up and goes, "Take that, you Destiny Child, bitch!" And that made me laugh.
Whoa! That's a little creepy. That's like the only time that I've done that. There was this. I went to see Star Wars Episode 2. I know, awful, but you know the scene. Okay, there's the scene where Anakin buries his mom or whatever. There was this guy in the front row, and everybody's completely silent, just watching the scene. And this guy in the front row just starts cracking up, like so like loud in the theater. The only person making any noise, and it was really, really weird. He was probably laughing at the bad acting, but
Yeah. At the horrible lines, like oh wait,
I don't like sand.
I hate them.
Why?
Well, it would be awesome if you just sat there and went, "Ah, that bitch is dead."
I mean, I don't know if that's why he was laughing, but maybe it was you. I don't know.
Yeah, it was probably me. A drunken English bloke who's asking people about Pokeballs. You want to play about Pokeballs?
Well, spoiler alert, obviously, for anybody who hasn't seen Man of Steel. If you haven't seen it yet and you don't want to know what happens in the movie, check
Please
back
turn the
on this.
podcast
Yeah, but you know what? Keep it on. Just keep it muted because we need the hits. So, check back
don't
after
say that,
you see
Tony.
it.
You might get the Arch Fiend coming after you for saying that. Not a good idea.
Oh, well.
You know, YouTube might lose revenue because of it. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Yes. So we're going to start talking about points of the movie, and we're going to kind of branch off at different points like that. A lot of us really didn't like it, and I actually, from what I've seen online, most people have negative reactions to it. Have you guys seen that mostly too?
No,
Yeah,
all over Twitter, people loved it.
Yeah, I see a lot of people sucking its dick.
Huh. So I'm kind of seeing two of the same kind of things here. I'm seeing a lot of people that complain that and of course these aren't really the things that I'm complaining about because I'm like nitpicky. A lot of people are like, well, the action was there was too much action and it hurt my eyes, which that didn't hurt me at all.
This wasn't a porn movie.
What the fuck?
And the other complaint that I'm seeing a lot is that well, this is one that I actually do agree with, that a lot of the characters really didn't have much like substance to them, and we'll kind of like break them down character by character. But the positives that I'm seeing are only really from what I'm seeing are only really Henry Cavill looked really good as Superman.
He
That's
acted
really
well
it.
with it as well. His acting was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really have to act much. Superman didn't have very many lines in the script.
But it's not that. You saw, how his childhood progressed to his like adult scene, and when he became an adult, you saw the way he was, his actions, his reactions, the lines, how he delivered them with the character. For me, he totally encompassed the role of Superman. He worked well with his character. You could see the difference between the tortured Clark Kent and the Man of Steel, and how he was trying to become this thing, this hero that he didn't know how to because he was affected so much by the world that he wasn't familiar with. He grew up in it and he was scared of it, and so he just thought he would hide himself. I thought the story worked. He encompassed it well. The character worked well. My issue was the other actors. I just felt people weren't serious. They had no understanding of their characters. Either they weren't a fan of the comic books, they didn't understand the roles, they never watched anything remotely Superman-ish,
What about
or they just want to go their own way.
What about Larry Fishburne as Perry White? I thought he did a alright job for the two lines he had in the movie.
He was Perry White. I thought he was just Lawrence Fishburne. He was Lawrence Fishburne playing Lawrence Fishburne. I didn't see Perry White.
He only had like 2 lines and 2 scenes.
Perry White
whole
is sarcastically funny, and he was also this guy that would he would yell at you, but you still you knew that he loved his paper and he loved everybody who was part of it. He just seemed like Lawrence Fishburne.
I feel like they'll give him more time to like develop as a kid. I mean, he didn't really have very much character development, to be fair. He had that one hero moment. Yeah, that's true. Nobody
he's
except
screaming to try and get that girl out the pot. Is that intern? He was trying to get her out that pile of rubble. She was there specifically to be a victim.
Let's branch right into her, because this is something I really wanted to nitpick. What other purpose was she other than that one scene? And if really that was her entire purpose, why wasn't she Jimmy Olsen?
I don't know if they've recasted Jimmy's character into this woman, or they're saving Jimmy until the next film to give them a nice little subplot, maybe.
Oh, they're badass Jimmy.
Well,
Or
I
they just
had
completely got rid of Jimmy.
I
Yeah,
had a
they could've
post
done
up
that.
on comicbookmovie.com where I usually do a breakdown of things that I'm excited about and things that I'm worried about. And I got a huge negative response from people that were like, why do you want Jimmy Olsen in this movie? It doesn't fucking matter. Why does he need to be a main character? And I was just like, hold on a second. I don't want Jimmy Olsen to be fucking, Superman, Jimmy
Like John
Olsen's
Blake
best,
or something.
yeah, Jimmy Olsen's best pal, kind of thing. Like, he just, this Jenny Jurwitch, I think her name was in the movie. Her role was pointless, other than the fact that it could have been Jimmy, because she just went underneath rubble and got pulled out.
Her role was a victim. That's all it was. It's like for the majority of the movie, I swear she was just going around screaming.
I thought that she was going to die, and that would be the reason why they wouldn't have Jimmy Olsen, because they wouldn't want to kill him off, which I would have been fine with. But they didn't even kill her. Like, the only people that die in the movie are
Zod.
Zod and the Kryptonians, Jonathan Kent,
That's it, right?
Dr. Hamilton.
Dr. Hamilton, which why did they kill
That doesn't make any
Hamilton?
sense. That didn't make any sense.
And then the Colonel, Colonel Hardy.
Who
Yeah, it
makes
didn't-
sure he throws out his one-liner before he goes down, for Christ's sake. Ugh.
And tried to fight a Kryptonian with a penknife.
Ugh. Yeah, like, come on.
Come on, come on.
At least he didn't do something like, in my experience, Fiora, this is the law, and you're out of order. Wink, wink. Something.
There's also this. You forgot the countless people that died during the fight between Zod and Superman.
They don't care.
Oh, there's about, I would say about 75,000 people probably died.
This is what I didn't. Again, this is what I didn't get, because they wanted to make this movie dark. I get that, but why so many casualties? It was even like Pa Kent. He just stood there, and Clark was looking at him like, "Oh, Dad, I'm going to save you." He's just like, "No, it's fine." Waves his hand.
I like that. I thought that
waves
was
his hand.
really good for the character development. I felt like that was going to strengthen and embolden his character for a sequel. I really liked that. I did.
thought that felt so forced. I'm like,
Yeah.
are you joking?
No.
Like, you didn't see that coming from 1,000 miles away.
Yeah,
Are you
they-
serious?
They did that. They did that because they needed to find a way to try, not saying that they succeeded, but they're trying to make people who already don't like Superman, which is a lot of people who already don't like Superman. They're trying to make his character a little bit more, I guess, human and relatable.
You mean more Spider-Man, yeah?
Yeah, but it's so
Course.
cheap. I mean, he ran back for the only person that
Oh.
Superman didn't save in the whole movie is his own father. Come on.
Oh,
Right.
no. They killed off Uncle Ben for Spider-Man, who's kind of like his dad, so we're just going to kill off Pa Kent for no fucking reason.
Well, he died in the first Superman movie too.
Yeah, but
Don't-
if you die from a heart attack, it's kind of like, well, what could Superman do? But when
Yeah,
he's literally just watching him die, and he's just like, nah, I'm good. Don't worry about it.
They had
He's
to
probably
play-
sitting there going,
they
"What would
had to play
Jesus
into the
do?"
whole theme of the movie, which is like that whole his choice. He has a choice to save those. Like Pa Kent told him, "Oh, maybe you should let those kids die," which didn't make sense either.
Okay. He's got a motherfucking choice, right? And he's letting his dad die, yeah?
Yeah, it's a bad choice.
Yeah,
Right.
his dad also made the choice because he didn't want to ostracize his son. It makes sense. It's just not necessarily
Son.
the best.
Oh, so he
I
thought
want
his
you
son
to
will
be a
ostracize
douchebag.
himself 15 years later anyway. Like, come on.
Yeah, I didn't like the whole maybe you should have let the kids die thing, because one of the main messages in Superman has always been this kind of idealism, and if you're gonna
Where was the idealism?
take
was it?
the idea of Superman, and people draw parallels to Jesus Christ all the time, and they
well, they do that with Neo too.
Yeah,
He died
and
for our sins.
Superman is supposed to be this person who not only represents like the best in people, but he also represents like that unattainable thing where, it kind of like where Batman does not kill. Like, he just will not kill you. It doesn't matter how many people you have killed. He'll still try to just send you to Arkham and
rehabilitate you.
yeah. And it's like with Superman, it's kind of the same thing in my mind. Like, Superman may kill certain things and certain people. Something like Doomsday. He's just like, holy shit, he's going into the fucking sun. I don't care.
No, he's never killed Doomsday. He's found ways to stop him,
Mhm.
but he's never actually gone out of his way to kill Doomsday.
He's killed
Now-
Zod before in the comics, though.
Yeah, but again, that's when he's had no other option left, and when Zod drove him to do it.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily as opposed to the Zod death scene in the movie, which is one of the things that a lot of people. I mean, I had somebody in the theater, like shout out, "You got to be fucking kidding me!" when that happened.
Wow.
I think that is understandable. I don't like the idea of Jonathan Kent just being like, yeah, maybe. I don't know, because the Kents are really one of the main reasons why he's supposed to be this kind of thing. Jor-El and Lara Lorvan, they're not the ones that raised him. It's kind of the difference between nature and nurture. The nature part is why he's, I guess you could say, why he's the Man of Steel as opposed to like a normal human. But the Kents are the reason why he's Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, but what I always saw was the underlying, principles. One of the underlying principles of Superman was the fact that he has the choice, to either rule over us as a god because he is omnipotent and he can do that if he wanted to, or he could save, everyone and just be our savior and our hero. Mm-hmm. And you're right. The Kents totally did have a lot to do with that, at least in the comic books. But I don't think that his dad dying in that way would change the character so dramatically that he wouldn't believably be Superman. You know what I mean? I don't think that damages his character.
Well, let me ask you a question though, Chris, right? By having those values, because what they did, they changed it around and said that Jor-El instilled those values on him because he was saying to him, I want you to understand the humans and all this and that rubbish. By doing that and by having Pa Kent sitting there go, you shouldn't be saving people, or you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. There's no values that he's instilling in him. He's making the kid kind of messed up. He's going by natural instinct saying, I need to save these people. It's not right that anyone dies. He even saved one of the bullies who was calling him names on the bus. And then his dad's coming out and go, well, shouldn't let those kids die, son. You don't want people to find out that you're an alien and be tested on and stuff. But, just keep it low profile. And it just, you just sit there like, what the fuck?
Doesn't that make it like so much more powerful when he chooses to fight against his ancestors instead of like joining them and taking over the world, which is what they wanted to do, or rebuilding Krypton or whatever it was?
But the thing is,
it makes it so much more powerful. It makes him so much more of just a genuinely good guy. You know what I mean?
There's a conscious decision that he never made on his own. Because Jor-El's sitting there going, oh, no, they're horrible people, and they're all sitting there trying to get him to join them, yet they cuff him up and he's like, oh, I killed your dad, by the way. Yeah, sucks to be you, doesn't it?
I think my biggest problem is the plot had so many holes, it was ridiculous, and it just didn't make any sense. Like, let's go to the end where they're trying to terraform Earth to be more like Krypton. Why in the world would you want to lose superpowers and all be mortal and all have a shitty life? Why not stay on Earth and be superhumans all together? Like, that makes no sense.
Okay, that's...
And this was after Zod got his powers. This is what made me laugh as well.
Yeah, and he already knew what was possible to be done on this world.
Should I be omnipotent, or should I make myself, and kill all these people, just make it so I'm the last man on the planet? But I wanted to rule over the Kryptonians, but I didn't want to rule over the humans. I wanted them all to die.
Well, you're not
going to understand a crazy person.
Yeah, the reasoning that I had thought at the time, because I thought the same thing too. I was just kind of like, all right, you're gonna kill everybody instead. The only thing that kind of came into my mind is when he was talking about that he was one of the storyline aspects that they've added in this movie is that it's kind of like you're predisposed to having certain job descriptions, basically, which is kind of like a predestination sort of paradox.
Yeah, but he said his job was to make sure he protected everybody on Krypton. So why wouldn't he say, okay, the best way to protect everybody is to be superhumans?
Well, maybe he just thought that if he made Krypton again, then that would kind of like justify himself.
But also there was that whole plot hole about the DNA. It's like you could change the humans. You could change the humans to Kryptonians. You could bring them back to life with the human DNA. So why would you want to have because then you make them mortal, you make them weak, and he can rule over them with an iron fist with his superhuman powers that he has. I didn't get that either. I just felt like, okay, so you got to kill everybody instead of ruling over them like a king. That makes sense.
No sense. No sense at all.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes, like, you're not supposed to really understand that guy. He's insane. He's a bad guy. You know what I mean? Like, why does anybody do anything? I mean, that's a lot of wondering.
Well, if he was more in line with the Joker's consciousness, because the Joker was like one of those guys who would just go around blowing shit up. He wouldn't give a fuck.
Well, exactly.
You knew what the Joker's job was. You knew what he was there to do. Even though you didn't know anything about him, you didn't know where he came from, what he was about in the Dark Knight, but you knew that his job was to blow shit up, cause chaos. Zod's job sort of changed as the movie went on. One minute he's talking about protecting Krypton and ruling over the mess that people are going to die with. Then he traces Kal-El down to Earth and he wants Kal-El. And then next minute, I don't need him. I want to use the imprint of the DNA for our species so I can bring them back and so I can rule over them. And then next minute he's like, oh, you know what? Fuck this shit. I just want to terraform the planet.
Well, there's one thing that he sticks with throughout the whole movie, out of all of his plots, and that's that he will find him.
Yeah, that's true.
That scene was fucking ridiculous. Zod literally says that 7 times in a row.
Yeah.
I will find him. I will find him. I will find him.
I have an explanation for why he changed his whole thing. It was the goatee.
Oh, true. I forgot about the goatee.
What was up with his hair, man? Seriously.
How does he only grow a goatee in 33 years? It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand.
Maybe it makes him more evil.
Thank God Feora didn't as well.
I guess it's when you're evil, you only grow the hair there. Is that what it is?
It's the evil Albed from Community thing.
Yeah.
And the evil Cartman. And
You know what made me laugh, though? Do you notice that her, Valora, whatever her name is, you noticed her accent changed throughout the whole film?
Really?
Who was it? Who was it?
One minute she was talking like she was Russian, and then the next minute she starts talking... Yeah, they're ex-British, then she starts talking like she's American. I'm just sitting there going, what? Stick to a fucking accent!
Wait, what? I did not hear that at all.
Seriously, she's standing there and she goes, we want Kal-El, and he goes, and then he's just standing there and they're going to give him away, and then he goes, General Zod requests that she comes with us. Well, you're not having her. You wanted the alien, but you're not having her. And then the next minute she's just talking to her and she's like, I'm going to kill you. I was like, what? Where did the accent go? What's going on?
I guess I didn't pay attention to her enough.
Well,
she was so secondary. You didn't even need to hear a word she was saying to know what was going on.
I would have preferred if I didn't hear a word that she was saying.
I mean, well, I guess you skipped over the fact of being upset that every Kryptonian just knows English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's another one.
They were speaking English on Krypton.
Yeah.
No, they were speaking Shakespearean English on Krypton. Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I.
Thank God they weren't singing, because Russell Crowe's proven that he sucks at that.
Yeah, I didn't even see that.
But Russell Crowe, that's something we were talking about before we started recording. I thought he was a damn good Jor-El.
Yeah, well, he's a good actor, I mean, there's nothing, you can't really take that away from him.
I actually think he's an overrated actor.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, I was not a huge fan of him winning Best Actor 2 years in a row.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really qualify that as being a good actor, but I mean, it's just a group. It's like it's just a group of your friends voting on you. It's like that has nothing to do with, the large scale, but
because it's the Academy of Arts and Sciences.
Yeah,
that's it.
But I actually thought that he
Gladiator.
was a really, really good Jor-El. I think he was above and beyond better than Marlon Brando.
Oh no, yeah, I agree. But
Yeah.
I mean, he also had a better part. I mean, the script was written for Jor-El. I feel like to try to develop that character, because I feel like he was the only character that was actually well written.
Yeah, very well written.
Superman didn't have very many lines, which I mean, he doesn't really need very many lines. He's Superman. He just needs to say what he needs to say when he needs to say it, but that's about it. But
again,
all the other characters were really, really badly written, I feel like.
The thing about Superman, though, I felt they humanized him a lot. They made him flawed. They made him... And I think that's probably where a lot of people are getting the problem with the movie. they turned him into someone, you know, like you and me, in a
Yeah.
sense. Very confused. His decision making was something to be desired. You know, would lose his temper constantly. Like he wrapped the bloody truckers, truck around that
Oh,
bloody
yeah, that was
phone
awesome.
line. And you know, and he would always get to the point where he would get infuriated enough to get into a fight with someone, but wouldn't actually hit them. And he'd always try and make these decisions of whether to do the right thing. So we saw that. We saw the evolution of his character. We understood from the get-go what his story was and how he went from just this little baby to this child to, you know, the man that he is through flashbacks. So you had a lot of acting being done by the teenager, by the kid, you know, even to a certain extent done by Henry Cavill himself. And we only got to the bread and butter, really. We haven't got to the meat of this yet, and I think a lot of this is going to be done in the sequel. I think we're going to see more of Clark Kent. We'll get to see understand the difference between how Clark Kent differs from Superman in a sense. But you know, for me, I think those two characters, we knew who they were, and everybody else was just collateral damage. They were just like, okay, you're Lois Lane.
Speaking of collateral damage, when we were talking earlier about this, the big attack at the end and the fight sequence and all that, some people ran damage estimates. And what they had come up with, I'm looking at the infographic right now, that more than likely in the end attack, there would be about 130,000 confirmed dead people, with 250,000 missing and 1 million injured, that the attack itself would be basically like the nuke on Nagasaki, and that it would have cost $750 billion in damage.
Well, they found a way to fix the Daily Planet in about 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Wait, they've said this 9/11 was 55 billion simulated average. Bloody heck.
Holy crap.
And overall impact is 2 trillion.
Right. So imagine that this is the scenario that somebody brought up. I think it was on Comic Book Movie. And I was like, you know what? This actually makes a lot of sense. Obviously, in the movie universe, it's not going to cost $750 billion. But let's just say it costs $10 billion or, you know, the $750 million or something like that. Who's the best person in the sequel that takes on this responsibility? Lex Luthor.
Lex Luthor, yeah.
So that could be a good way to introduce Lex as I'm cleaning up the mess that the Kryptonians did, and I'm the real Metropolis Marvel, and Superman's a menace, and they could do something like that. What do you guys think?
I mean, that's definitely where they're going with that.
Did you guys catch the Easter egg they threw in there? There's a LexCorp truck that gets thrown.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
saw that.
Yeah.
Apparently, there was also the satellite was Wayne Enterprises.
Really?
Oh, I didn't see that.
I didn't notice that myself, but they posted a picture about it afterward.
Interesting.
It's a nice little homage that they paid to it, but in the same sense, it's all sort of irrelevant at the moment.
Did you guys see in the scene with the bus? I mean, not the bus, the boat that Aquaman pops up?
You're lying.
Now he's grasping at straws.
That would have been fucking hilarious though. The scene with the whales, if Aquaman would have just swam by. Sup, Clark? Do you need me for this one? No. Okay.
I bet the movie would have made everybody happy if Iron Man fucking popped out of the water. Jesus. Everybody's all on that guy's dick. Everybody's all on that guy's dick.
Are they making a Justice League movie?
They are.
Supposedly what their plan is, and this kind of changes every once in a while, but the plan that I've been hearing most is that they want to do a sequel to this first, and then they want to do either
Wonder Woman.
Either like standalone movies, or go right into a Batman, Superman, World's Finest combo, or go into Justice League right from there. And I really hope that they don't go that route. I'd rather see standalone ones, but
yeah. All I hope is that they cast Olivia Munn for Wonder Woman.
Sweet.
What makes me laugh is the fact that they own DC Comics, Warner Brothers has constant access to these characters. They can make good TV series, hence Arrow, but they can't make proper movies. I don't get what they're getting the problem with this. It's not that hard.
It's actually really hard.
Oh, for DC, it's really hard for some weird reason. But
No,
Marvel
well, I
managed to put together a good ensemble cast and put together an Avengers movie with the drop of a hat.
Yeah, you're forgetting that Marvel has Disney money.
Well, this is before they had Disney money.
I don't even think it's.
Now they have Disney money.
I don't think it's really
now-
the money. I think it's just a matter of Marvel trying to stay true to the characters and DC trying to do, but more so Warner Brothers trying to
to a
just
certain extent, though.
have
To a
that
certain
like
extent.
the movie producer thing. Because look at what happened with like Fantastic Four.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's a
dog
Marvel
shit.
movie. That's a movie.
Can we not,
that's from
can we
Marvel.
not
But it's
name that
crap.
movie? Can we not talk about that movie?
Yeah,
let's
I would rather
pretend like
forget
that one didn't exist.
And well, there's a whole bunch of them. I mean,
They made a
Ghost Rider?
sequel too.
Silver
I
Surfer.
had no issue. I had no issue with Daredevil. I don't know what
I
people.
did not
What?
have an issue with Daredevil.
What? Are you serious?
Wait, you
Okay.
like Daredevil? Are you
I
kidding me?
liked it.
Did you like
I liked
Elektra too?
Daredevil. I liked it.
Daredevil.
How'd you feel about Elektra?
Please tell me you did not like Ghost Rider and Ghost Rider 2.
Oh,
Oh,
God,
that
no.
was no bullshit.
Oh my
Nicolas
god.
Cage.
No, we're not
Nicolas
talking
Cage
about
should never do a
Daredevil.
superhero
We're not
movie.
talking about Daredevil.
Well, we
But-
can talk about Green Lantern if we want to keep pulling out
I
bad.
I like
haven't
Green Lantern.
I haven't seen Green Lantern.
Are
As
you-
I said,
Did you say
as I
you
said
like
before
that?
about Green Lantern.
Oh,
I'm
I
signing
like
off.
Green
I'm
Lantern.
signing off right now.
Why is
Go-
Ryan
go to
Reynolds in
issue.
like 3 different superhero movies as 3
No.
different characters?
What was the other one? He's done
X-Men.
Green Lantern.
X-Men Origins. He was
done
Deadpool.
Yeah, Green
Yeah, he
Lantern.
was,
X-Men
no, he
Origins.
was also in Blade.
Well, that was a bad.
Oh, yeah, he was in Blade,
Oh,
too.
yes. Blade.
Paden, what did you think of Green Lantern? Just let's talk about that real fast.
It sucked.
That's it.
It was just a bunch of flashy green shit on a screen. It was one of the weakest superhero movies, I think.
Because one
I'd
of the
rather
problems.
be kicked in my fucking balls than watch that movie.
No, but the writing in that movie was terrible. Come on, you. At the
Somebody
get-go-
wrote it. I thought they just went out with a camera and like pointed at shit, and it's like, oh, don't worry, we'll get stuff on the computer later.
At
One
the
of the
get-go,
problems
make the
with,
lead villain Parallax. What the fuck?
One of the problems with the Green Lantern movie that it comes up with the Justice League films is, do you acknowledge that film or do you do a reboot? Now, if you do a reboot, it's like people just saw a Green Lantern movie. They're not going to want to have a reboot.
I'm pretty
Oh,
sure
yeah.
anything that happened before, I would say, Man of Steel is non-canon to what's going forward.
Right. Now,
Nothing that's happened before anywhere counts.
the solution
know
that
what,
I
I'll-
would say is they pull an Incredible Hulk. You reference it, but you don't actually call it actual like canon.
Or,
Just have him be the Green Lantern already and just go right into it. You know what I mean?
or you kill off Hal Jordan.
No, you can't do that.
You get him possessed by
not?
Parallax. You bring in Carl Rayner, have him pass the torch on to Rayner, and continue the story on with Rayner.
Kyle Rayner
Get off Hal
sucks,
Jordan.
dude. Kyle Rayner sucked.
No, he did. He single-handedly held the freaking comic book down for
No
like
way.
ever before Jordan came back. Yeah, fair enough. Jeff Jones is the way he handled with the Green Lantern.
All
so
about Jon
now
Stewart.
it's a lot better. John, fuck off, Jon Stewart.
The Daily Show?
No, the Black Green Lantern.
But you're just voting for him because he's black.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like the worst black character ever.
You know
No,
who's
who's-
Black
Ten
Panther's
black
the worst
char-
black character
No, no.
ever.
I can name you 10 black characters that are better than Jon Stewart.
I believe
Static?
everybody is forgetting about Hypno Hustler.
Oh, for God's sake.
Oh, what? What about the one that
Did he
Shaq
get
played?
shot?
Steel.
Steel, yeah.
Maybe that's what this movie should have been.
Hey,
Man of
you know
Steel.
what? Steel was better than
It
Jon
was a
Stewart.
Steel movie that was so bad.
Steel was better than Jon Stewart.
No way.
Yes.
John Henry Irons. Great name. Ooh.
Well,
Didn't
it's
see that
not
one
like
coming.
DC Comics are racist.
I tell you what, though, if you're mentioning
Bishop?
John Henry Irons, I would have loved in Man of Steel if somebody would have been in the background and would have been John Henry Irons. I love
Yeah,
that
that
kind of
would've been
stuff.
pretty cool. That
And
would've
that's
been-
actually that brings me up a point that I wanted to mention. Something that bothers me about Man of Steel, just to kind of get back to that a little bit, is I kind of had mentioned it a little bit with Jimmy Olsen and everything. I hate it in these movies when they have these characters that could be characters from the comics, and there's really no reason why they wouldn't be, and they don't end up naming them that. Like, I loved Kellex being in this movie. the little robot that is alongside Jor-El and everything. That right from the start of the movie, I was like, they're actually calling him Kellex. That's fucking awesome. Because it's so. I mean, you're gonna have a robot. Why not be the robot? It's kind of like if you had a guy who's like Doctor Doom, you're gonna call him Doctor Doom. Like it
See,
just.
I actually had a conversation with a friend about this the other day, and I think that the reason they don't do that as much anymore is because, like, back when they were making like those X-Men movies and stuff, they're trying to get like comic book fans to spend money on these movies, and the movies have blown up to such a degree that like people who never even cared about Iron Man before claim to be Iron Man fans since Robert Downey played him, and going to the movies to see these movies, so they don't have to do those little fan appreciation things for us anymore. They just put out all these movies for everybody else's money.
But why
But
not
it's
do it
always
if it's
good.
already the same character? You know what I mean? Like, you don't serve any purpose. Like, another instance in here was we had General Swanwick, and from the best of my knowledge, he's not somebody from even like Smallville or anything. But in the comics, you have this General Sam Lane, the father of Lois Lane. Now, would it have really hurt them if they would have made it to the General is Lois Lane's father, and they could have just had like that's why he like there's kind of like a relationship between that and Superman, or
No, I get that.
they could have even had what's the guy's name?
Does everyone notice that Lois Lane and Superman's relationship was so forced?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's hold off on that real quick because I want to make that a big topic. But even the dog, they call him something in the movie. It's like it's something that
you want to call him Crypto or something?
Not Crypto, but they have used
Shelby in it.
Yeah, you've used
okay.
Shelby before a bunch of times, so he could be Shelby. But he was something like, I don't know, Wolfie or something like that. And
Well, maybe. Well, and the weird thing, I think the weird thing about that too is that David Goyer didn't he write this movie, and he knows.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Comic canon. He made the Batman Begins and the Dark Knight, and he knows comic canon. It's not like he's a stranger to it.
Right. He decided
really
in the
weird.
middle of Batman Begins that the random killer would be Mr. Zsasz.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I'm like, well, why can't you have that? Like, they actually go out of their way to do this whole thing about atmospheric conditions are different with Earth, and that's going to hurt Superman when he's around it. Just say kryptonite. Like, what the fuck? Like, that it's the point that I brought up in my little quick review point of it was a lot of stuff in this movie reminds me of Amazing Spider-Man, where they went out of their way to not do something. In that movie, they, instead of saying with great power comes great responsibility, they had, what the hell was that line? It was like, when you have power, the responsibility is great, and
it was just a jumbled version of the same quote.
Yeah, so that just kind of stuff bothered me about it. As being like Superman fans and all that other kind of stuff, did you guys kind of like how they threw like the LexCorp thing in there instead of just making it a random Exxon?
Oh yeah, that was great foreshadowing.
Yeah, I like that.
It was a great shout.
That's one of the only things I liked from it, to tell you the truth. The LexCorp truck. That's about it.
That's the only thing you liked in that movie?
That's about it.
that LexCorp truck.
That and they threw Lana on the bus for a second too.
Yeah, they had Lana. They had Pete Ross from the comics.
Yeah.
And I actually like the fact that they kind of made him like a fat kid instead of just a normal, ginger kind of kid or whatever. I did like the Smallville incarnation, which I can't remember the name of that actor. But I liked him. I liked how they included the Smallville character Whitney Fordman. Like, they went out of their way to do those ones, and then they did the opposite for other stuff, and it really just kind of drives me nuts, because it's like, it's almost as if he worked at the Daily Planet and they called it the Daily Globe, and it would be like, well, why didn't you just call it the Daily Planet? I'm going to touch back on Daily Planet again in a minute, but...
Welcome to the planet.
Oh, yeah, let's just go right into it then. That line, fucking amazing. Best part of the movie, I think.
Yeah. That was great.
Here's my thing. Lawrence Fishburne, he was saved by Superman about 2 weeks before he hired Superman. The glasses really threw him the fuck off. First off, the Daily Planet got rebuilt after being completely destroyed in about 2 weeks. And all of a sudden, here comes the same guy who just saved them 2 weeks prior, interviewing. He doesn't have any type of credentials to work at the Daily Planet, but you know what? He got the job.
He's like,
Yeah, I didn't understand that as well. I
We
want
need
to go into
somebody with a lot
investigative
of
journalism
experience.
for
Doesn't
some
really make
weird
any
reason.
sense.
we need someone with a lot of experience. What have you done? Well, I traveled the world as Superman. Oh shit.
I used to fish for Alaskan king crab legs.
I was on Deadliest Catch.
Like, yeah, like what that didn't make any sense. What year was that supposed to be in?
Dude,
Like,
I don't.
I could understand that happening if it was like 1950 and you're just like, oh, a white guy walking in here, yeah, let's hire him. But like,
He's got glasses. He must be smart.
yeah, like is this 1950? Like, what's going on?
Sir, do you want to be my boss, sir? Yes,
I
master.
mean, like, here's the thing. I really thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I'm a huge Superman fan. I really like this movie, but like sitting here and actually like talking about this is making me realize that there are things that are wrong with it, but I still don't care. I love it. Fuck
Well, I
it.
thought it was entertaining. I'll give it that much credit. The whole time I'm watching the movie, I was entertained. It was just the Superman fan in me was bothered by a lot of stuff, like Lois Lane, and I'll go to bat for this anytime somebody mentions it up. Why couldn't they spend $10 on a bottle of hair dye?
No,
On the
You're
same.
absolutely right.
maybe Amy Adams didn't want to fucking dye her hair, man.
You know what? Fucking recast her then. She's too old for the role anyway.
Nah, dude, you're right. And if they're gonna do that, like, why not just hire a blonde to be Superman? Like, if you're gonna do it, just fucking do it right.
Right. It's kind of the same with Daniel Craig. I don't like the fact that Daniel Craig is a blonde, kind of ugly Bond.
I'm gonna be a hypocrite. Like 3 seconds after my last statement, I think he's an awesome fucking Bond, and I don't care about the blonde.
I think he's got the acting down for Bond, although he really needs to be a little bit more charming and funny. But
That's not what they're doing with those Bonds. Though,
I know, but that's what sucks about it.
Why don't you say that to his face?
Yeah, right.
Daniel Craig does not do charming.
No, he does ass kicking. And you say otherwise, he'll kick your ass.
But that's kind of the same thing with Lois Lane. Like, if you're gonna pull Lois Lane off, she needs to be, at least in my mind, attractive. Now, she doesn't need to be, the absolute supermodel type, but she needs to be somebody who a lot of people are interested in. And I'll give you credit for this. A lot of people do like Amy Adams. I'm personally
She is not
like,
attractive.
she's a little bit
What
more.
ugly.
I
She looks like that pudgy girl at school that you used to make fun of.
But
that's a little far.
But she
got
needed
fat
to be.
cheeks.
She needed to be younger than that.
Yeah.
She looks like she's in her 40s. And
She doesn't even
Superman.
look like she keeps herself well kept. Her hair was all over the place. She looked like she's basically getting out of bed every 5 minutes.
As far as I'm concerned,
Yeah, with me.
Erica Durance from Smallville. That is Lois Lane.
You know what? I would really prefer her being with you, Chris Locs. I wouldn't mind that because then she wouldn't be in this damn movie.
I fucking hated Smallville for the record.
There's a lot of stuff terrible about Smallville. Did everybody see Smallville here? Like Paden, did you ever watch Smallville?
Nope. I actually didn't even know for the longest time that it was a Superman show.
Really?
Yeah.
You just thought it
I
was
got them all on
generic
DVD.
CW, a bunch of models get together and fuck?
Yeah.
That's basically what it was.
It was one
Yeah.
of the worst
I mean, you talk about
shows
how
in
like
terms of
Man of
payoffs.
Steel, you could know that it's Superman. Nothing about Smallville would make me know that that's Superman.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that it's called Smallville.
Well, even that's a little bit
What
more
is
of a stretch.
that? Why would I know that? Superman's from Metropolis.
No, he's
Yeah,
not. He's from Smallville.
He gets a job in Metropolis.
Clark Kent's a farm boy.
Clark
They
Kent
nickname
is
him
from
Smallville.
For most people with just a
his
cursory
nickname is Smallville.
for most people with just a cursory knowledge of Superman, they probably don't even know that he's from Metropolis.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
That's true, but I don't think the show was for those people.
Everybody does that thing where they think that Batman and Superman are from New York. Hell, even what's his name thought that Batman lived in New York in Batman Forever.
Wait,
Schumacher.
who? Joel Schumacher?
Yeah, because he has, they're in the middle of Gotham City and there's
Oh
the
yeah,
Statue of
yeah,
Liberty.
the Statue of Liberty.
Ridiculous.
Isn't
Jesus
Gotham City
Christ.
supposed to be closer to like Chicago or something like that too?
Uh,
I've heard that it's supposed to mirror Chicago.
I've heard that it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to mirror New York, but the reason people get confused is because Chicago is sometimes called Gotham City.
I've heard three things. I've heard that it's Chicago, that it's this difference between Metropolis and Gotham are on opposite sides of New York, and that Metropolis is kind of like New York in the daytime and Gotham is New York at night. But the thing that I like the most, and what I've seen kind of more often, is that Metropolis is around Washington, D.C., and that Gotham is Mystic Island in New Jersey, which is around Atlantic City.
Tight. It's Gotham's Jersey. That's awesome.
Yeah, it would be Gotham is like the New Jersey equivalent, and Metropolis is sort of like that political.
So that means Jersey. That means we got Batman and Highlander.
And Snooki.
Batman and Highlander.
We're not talking villains here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I could understand having Snooki and Highlander. That would make sense.
Snooki, otherwise known as Mongol. But let's get back to Lois a little bit. With Lois, though, did anybody like Lois in this?
I got a soft spot for redheads, so I have a biased opinion.
What about the character?
Oh, no, they're god awful. I thought you meant, like, would I do her? Yes.
Character-wise, though, what bothered me is she didn't seem like a bitch enough.
Yeah, but you know what? They tried to make her overly bitchy in the first 5 seconds they're introducing her, and then she's a sweetheart after that. Yeah. So it's like, pick one. Is she going to be a cunt, or is she going to be a sweetheart? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, what was the line? Are we done measuring dicks?
Yeah, are we done measuring dicks, gentlemen? Like, come on, all right. And then after that, you're like the nicest chick ever.
Contest or something like that.
Nah, measuring dicks.
Did she actually say? Did she really say measuring dicks?
Yeah, are we done measuring dicks here or something like that?
And then, like you were saying, afterwards, she's just kind of like, "Gosh darn!" Like,
yeah, there's no more measuring dick talk after that.
That would have been fucking hilarious if she just did that the whole movie. She meets Superman, she's like, "So, how big's your dick?" And then Perry White's like, "You're suspended for 3 weeks," and she's like, "Oh, don't be a dick." Like, it's just her one line throughout the whole movie. It's just like,
suck my dick.
Zod's like trying to kill her, and she's just like, "Dude, fuck off. Just go fucking dick." Yeah, Lois annoyed me in that kind of a sense, and I really hope that either they recast her, which they probably won't, or at least in a sequel movie, they kind of justify the romance between the two of them more, because they meet.
How about get her acting classes? I think that might work.
Well, they meet, and it's like, hey, you're trying to figure out who I am. Well, I guess I'll just tell you who I am. And she's like, all right, we'll go bang. He's like, sure.
Didn't she say, wait, didn't she say Clark in the whole movie? She was calling him Clark.
Mm-hmm.
But she knows who the fuck he is.
Although I do like that. Because, come on, after all these years, Superman's been a character for 75 years. And even though a lot of these things have not been there for all 75 years, I mean, those who don't know, Superman didn't fly originally. There was no kryptonite, no Lex Luthor, nothing like that. Hell, he started off as the bald guy.
Yeah, but, he was a bad guy at first.
Yeah, but he used to just leap tall buildings with a single bound.
Superman.
Yeah, but then the story became that, like, Lois was in love with Superman, but didn't really pay attention to Clark, but he didn't care, because he was still saving the world. And then it's like, okay, well, we're going to let Lois know that he's Clark Kent in the first 15 minutes of this fucking movie. And then like, it goes from interrogation room to them having, like, this moment out in the desert before he sacrifices himself like fucking space Jesus. It was terrible.
Now, I do think that they should have had more built up to it where she didn't know who he was. But
Absolutely.
I do kind of like the fact that they're not going to just make, like, 3 movies out of does she know, like, the whole thing with the glasses.
Dude, I hear you. It's not like they're doing a TV series, but couldn't they have waited to maybe the end of the movie she finds out? Like, did it have to be as soon as they met, like she got right to the bottom of it?
Yeah, I'll give you that. It could have been, like, during the Battle of Metropolis that this happened.
Yeah, she's like, I know who you are. I love you. And he's like, I love you too. I need to go save the whole planet. Bye.
Or they could have teased it and just let it go naturally, like they should do, instead of in the minute, oh, I realised that I love you, alien creature person who might kill me. Yay!
Like, as we were saying, like, if she does know who Clark and everybody is, like, they could have teased it a little bit more and all that. I actually do like that idea that they could have had maybe not like the whole sequel to it, but they could have done something where she just flat out doesn't say it. Sort of like what the relationship that Gordon and Batman is in the comics, where he kind of talks to Bruce Wayne and just kind of goes like, "So Batman had a rough day last night, didn't he?" And like, it's just kind of like, "I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "Nah, I know." Like, they could have done something like that here. They could have had Lois sort of be like, they go, "Where's Clark?" And she's just like, "He's just busy." Like, and you're like, "Oh, she knows who he is," but she's just not flat out saying, "Clark, knock it off. I know you're Superman." Let me measure your dick real quick, like, because of the way that she would be doing with that. But I don't know, like, their rationality was everybody's sick of it, and I kind of agree to an extent. Like I had said, I don't really want to see 3 movies of what we saw in Superman Returns, where she's just like, "Do you think that he could be Superman? No, that's Clark. He's got glasses on." Like,
Oh, God.
Yeah. But dude, I think by the time they have their kiss, and not to mention that she throws out the worst one-liner of the movie right there, it's all downhill after the first kiss. I think they might have talked to each other twice before that. I think they talk when they're getting like interrogated, and they talk when they first meet before that. They don't meet again until that part, and then it's like, "Oh, I love you so much." It's a lip lock in time.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. I thought that they needed maybe like
very rushed.
7 more scenes together or something.
Oh yeah, easily, dude. Or at least a little time where it's not like only turmoil is why they're seeing each other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe Lois just gets turned on by almost dying, by facing her mortality.
I guess, but he didn't even buy her a drink or anything, dude. He just went right in.
Yeah, that's the best type of chick, man.
That's one of the things also that I thought was kind of on parallel with Amazing Spider-Man, because Amazing Spider-Man, you don't really get to see any interaction between the characters a whole lot. I mean, there's maybe 3 scenes where Peter is with Dr. Connors, and then he's supposed to care that much that Dr. Connors is turned, and then there's like 2 scenes before he's dating Gwen, and he only has really like 1 scene with Captain Stacy. Like, there's really not a whole lot to it, and both films felt very similar to me, where it seemed like they took all the stuff that everybody complained about with the other movies, and they focused all on that, and then lost everything that people didn't complain about. Like, everybody said about the Spider-Man movies, they were like, Tobey Maguire is a fucking nerd, but he is not funny. So they were like, well, we'll make this guy funny. And then they're like, yeah, but he's kind of a dick. Like, and it was like, well, there's too much Mary Jane stuff, and everything's romance. Okay, well then we'll just get rid of all that and we'll make a lot more action in there. All right, well, you need a little bit of romance. And with this one, it felt the same to me, where they're like, everybody says Superman doesn't punch anybody, and I agree, a lot of that stuff was a pain in the ass. And then in this one, they were like, he'll just punch everything, and he'll fly through a gas station and 50 things will blow up. And like, it almost felt like, I hate to do this kind of joke because I make fun of people that do it all the time, but it felt like a Michael Bay movie.
Oh, dude, it absolutely.
I was gonna be that guy to just drop the bomb.
I was telling everybody, literally. It felt like Transformers to me. Like, it was like, okay, I get it. Special effects look cool. A lot of shit blew up. I got it. But like, if you pull it apart and you really think about the film itself, it sucked donkey dick.
Okay.
Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it sounded like you were gonna go for this like really profound point. Just like...
If you really pull it apart, the dichotomy of this part and this.
No. I have nothing deeper for you, because that's how the movie was. It wasn't deep at all. It was just shit.
I disagree. I think the movie tried to be deep, and I think it set up a sequel. That's what all it was for. That's all the entire movie is for.
That's the same with Amazing Spider-Man to me. I said right off the bat when I saw that, I was like, the sequel is going to be so much better.
Yeah.
Because they shoehorned plot elements into it that they thought they needed to just get in there to not piss off the fans, but they did it in a way that pissed off the fans because they didn't do it justice. Like, he falls down and just sees a poster of like an MMA star or whatever it was, and it was just like, oh well, there you go. There's the whole wrestling scene. I mean, they didn't need to do all that shit, but
Why should we have to lay back and accept that? It's Iron Man didn't do that. Like when you saw Iron Man, you didn't have to see a sequel to be like that movie was the shit. Like you watch this and you go, well, this is going to really set up the second one to be great. Why?
Right.
Why should it have to do that?
I think the difference is Iron Man had never really been in a blockbuster movie before, and like we've seen Spider-Man movies before, we've seen Superman movies before, so they had to just like rush all these plot elements in there just so that you could get to like a big, secondary climax movie like The Dark Knight, which is pretty much what everybody's going for.
Mm-hmm. Now I like Batman Begins actually better than Dark Knight as far as like being a well-rounded movie.
Really?
And that to me,
I disagree.
Because I think Batman Begins.
I gotta disagree too.
No, Batman
Begins is really slow. Really slow.
Batman Begins is the best one out of the lot.
But I think Batman Begins has the most character development and the most like from A to B or A to Z. It knocks all the points out. Dark Knight kind of starts off and it's just like it's the same thing as Empire. I think that if you're looking at Star Wars and Empire, yeah, Empire is the cooler movie, and actually, Godfather Part 2. I need these movies that have like that.
Back to the Future too.
They rely completely on the first one having been as good as it was. On a standalone movie, the first one is better, but the second one makes it that much better. Like Terminator 2.
Yes, Terminator 2 is amazing.
It's only my favorite movie of all time because of the fact that Terminator 1 was so good of a plot.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, if you're looking at that, Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 did not have the same focus. It's like seeing your favorite heel one day in wrestling terms. And I hate to use wrestling terms on the Fanboys podcast, but seeing your favorite heel in one situation be a heel and then turn face for no reason. No one understood why Arnie was coming back in time to save John Connor when 1 minute he's trying to kill his mum. So there wasn't that understanding. They managed to write it in a certain way so that Arnie could be this good guy because he was so popular,
Kicked so much ass.
Yeah,
fucking love
and it worked. It worked because the thing is the beginning necessarily wasn't Terminator 1. It was kind of Terminator 2 because it gave a fresh take on this character because originally it was supposed to be a science fiction horror film. Then it changed into this sort of adventure film movie,
Mm-hmm.
And the premise changed, the premise shift. With a movie like Man of Steel, it's still good as a beginning because it sets up the character of Superman. But now we've got to see where he goes from here.
Now we have to see a Superman movie.
Yeah,
is what the thing is. Like just how this Amazing Spider-Man has to be. In my mind, Spider-Man from like the comic books or the animated series, except for he is allowed to punch in this one.
That's the thing. That's the thing. And I hope it doesn't turn into another one of those superhero movies that started off with the Batman movies, where you have to keep killing villains. I think this is where they're steering Superman into a very dark path. He can't keep killing people. If he keeps killing people, he's going to be no better than those individuals that he's trying to stop because his core values are going down the shitter. We've seen the whole story, especially like if you guys played Injustice: Gods Among Us, it's a huge prime example of this, where Superman goes rogue and then his whole moral compass gets corrupted because he ends up killing the Joker and then ends up killing on, and then it's like, you know what? I'm going to do things my way. You people obviously don't know what the fuck you're doing, so I'm going to deal with everything. And he ends up getting more and more corrupt. He kills his own friends. He kills people who follow him. He kills like the people he's trying to protect.
But he doesn't kill Aquaman. What the hell?
But it gets to but Aquaman's sort of like being a scared cunt. And
no, not Aquaman. No.
But the whole situation
that game is awesome,
derails out of control. So you're taking that, and we've seen a small bit. He's killed one person already, and the whole thing. This is the thing that Batman's afraid of, where this guy in his moral compass goes out of control. To me, the best bet would be to do a Justice League movie or do a Batman Superman movie after this, because Bruce could be easily going, you know what? Or whoever Batman is, if they're going to continue the Nolan trilogy, comes out and says, I'm scared.
Thing's done.
Okay, so that's done. We can get Batman, bring him in this movie say that he's already established because he already has been established. You don't need to do another fucking origin story for the 150th time. Sorry.
They need to go Batman 89 route.
And they just need to take him in. They need to say, right, this guy's out. This guy killed someone.
Batman 89 route? Why?
Not like in terms of tone or anything like that, or have Michael Keaton come back or anything, but they need to start it off where he's already Batman.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
And basically have him watch. My whole thing I would have the camera pan the television. You see the television, and you see Superman just snapping Zod's neck, like someone's captured it on TV, like on their camera phone or something. It pans out, and you're in the Batcave, and Bruce is sitting there in his chair, and he's looking at this, and he's like, right, I've got to find this guy out. I've got to test him. If I have to,
I gotta measure my dick against him.
Yeah, I got to touch dicks. No, but I've got to, see what this guy's up to, and if I have to, put a stop to him, because that's what Bruce would do. He's trying to protect everybody around him in this kind of weird, fucked up way, but that's what Bruce would do.
I think that'd be a real cool way to introduce Batman back in. But is anybody else terrified if they do reboot Batman again that it's the only way it can go is down? Is the bar set so high at this point that I feel like I can only be let down at another Batman franchise?
This is ridiculous though, because they're not even gonna reboot Batman for a while until at least they've done like Wonder Woman and Flash.
I guess you're right.
There's no way.
I think that one thing that they could do, and I don't know if they have this in mind at all, but I think what a smart thing to do would be is to try over the next 2-3 years to do a Flash movie, a Wonder Woman movie, a Green Lantern movie, maybe a sequel to Superman, and right before you're going to do a Justice League film, that's when you do the Batman film. Kind of like the way that Captain America was the last one before Avengers. You can introduce Batman and make that, because that's going to get a huge rush of people going to see it just because it's Batman, and his stock's gone up incredibly over the past few years. You do it that way, and by this point, people are used to Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and Green Lantern as this new universe. And it's been a long enough time since the Nolan films that they can kind of get away from it. Because if you go too soon, people are automatically going to hate it because it's not Nolan. And I think that they need to kind of go the way that the animated series was, where he's got more tech, and it's a little bit more fantasy. But you don't need to make it, fucking strobe lights all over the place like Schumacher. But maybe
if they do a Schumacher Batman, I'm going to kill myself.
Instead of
I'll do it over Schumacher's desk.
You have to find a happy medium between I can't do perma white Joker because that's too unrealistic and everybody's wearing a suit and that's it. And the far out
Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, you can't go that route either. You have to kind of go
that was the worst thing I've ever seen on screen.
Yeah,
I agree highly.
I can't believe that they would do that to Mr. Freeze. I love Mr. Freeze as a character. They just killed him.
But I'm hoping that they don't kind of go, well, we'll have Man-Bat as the villain. That's not going to fucking work. You need to have a Black Mask or a Riddler or
they should just stop making Batman movies and go with Arkham Origins as being canon for everything.
That kind of the way that the tone is in that's what they need in a movie. He's got the gadgets. It's a shame you can't just cast Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, he's too old, man.
Yeah.
The thing is that
he's not even going to be Batman in the new game either.
I know he's not. And they're trying to find a younger person. My issue with this whole situation, I've said it once and I'll say it again, you don't need to reboot the franchise. Keep Batman at a safe tone. Keep the character active. Have him, doing what he's doing, which is, saving Gotham. But just tell new stories with him. You don't need to tell the Joker again. Mm-hmm. Leave the Joker till later on in this film trilogy. Because I know at the moment, they don't want to do trilogies. They don't want to do quadrologies. They want to do it for as much as the time as they can. Hence, the reason we're going to see a ton more Marvel movies, and they're all going to link together for another ensemble cast movie. They need to do it that way. They need to. If they're not going to do a Justice League movie, then fuck it, do a Batman Superman movie. Reintroduce Batman in that way, and have him go after Superman. Mm-hmm. I would love to see these guys go after each other. I would love to see, if Superman gets to that point where he almost kills Batman, or Batman figures out Superman's weakness and almost kills him, and then they end up getting a truce over something bigger. That would work for me. I have no issue with that whatsoever, like a world's finest. What they need to stay clear from is making Superman darker, because the more risks they take of making him darker, the more risks they take in vilifying his character, and that's what you don't want. You know, in a sense of the way this movie went, it was fine, but a lot of the tone was really dark. And I understand the reason why they did it. It's because of today's society, and we're more susceptible to these types of movies, especially with Nolan on board. You know, the whole Dark Knight trilogy was dark, heavy, blood-filled, and it had that very creamy, nasty center in it. And that's not a bad thing, but in a sense, with a character like Superman, with a character with a moral compass, you can't do that. That's why I look at the Sam Raimi films, and I like them better than the Amazing Spider-Man movie.
First one.
Yeah, the first one.
The first one is
garbage. The third one was utter garbage because it's just like he didn't even give a shit.
That's because he was he had such a boner for Sandman that he was like, you really want a Venom? It makes more sense to do Venom. No, I want Sandman in here.
Yeah, he was being a bitch about it, basically.
Yeah, they raped Venom on that.
Yeah, he did it on purpose.
Well, first of all, they put Topher Grace in the movie. That was just...
He would have been a great Spider-Man, though. I think he would have been.
He's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, but he could have been the
he's
good
one of those
version
guys.
of
I
Spider-Man
think
as
he's
a dick.
good. He's good being his, like make-out movies and his, teen who falls in love type movies. That's what he needs to do. Everybody else, in the Spider-Man movie, he just didn't work. As a character, he didn't work. As Venom, he didn't work. Eddie Brock, he didn't work.
Well,
they needed someone. Yeah,
you brought up the concern that they're going to have Superman kill everybody in every film now.
No.
I actually think they're going to go the opposite route. I think that we were talking earlier about Lex Luthor being the villain in the sequel. I think that's going to be the main reason why he doesn't kill Lex.
It's vilifying the character, and the way I see it, that's what they're doing at the moment, because they shouldn't have had him kill Zod. They put him in a position.
No.
They wrote him into a position where he ends up killing this guy who was a major threat to the Earth. I get that. But he could have done what Reeves did and trapped them back in the Phantom Zone. He didn't need to kill them.
Didn't they trap the other Kryptonians in the Phantom Zone and it was closed or some crap like that? There was no way for him to trap him in the Phantom Zone.
They did it to have this big dramatic ending.
The report...
No, they did it so that he killed his, the last vestige of his ancestry.
Yeah, but he didn't need to do it because Superman sits there and goes, all right, my dad, you killed my father, but I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to be as bad as you are. But they totally got rid of that message and thought, right, we're going to back him into a corner and we're going to make this his only course of action.
Yeah, but they didn't make it seem like it was a way that he was going to regularly conduct business. You know what I mean? He's not going to go and kill people. It's not going to.
Because then if he did that, then in the sequel, if Lex Luthor pops up, he would just be like, oh, Lex is a villain, I'm going to go snap his neck.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead, I think they're going to take it the way where they're like, well, Lex Luthor's like, why don't you just kill me? You did it with Zod. And he'll be like, I can't do it. I fucking killed somebody. I never want to do that again. No matter what, I can't kill Lex Luthor, especially the fact that he's a human and completely vulnerable. It's different when you're fighting Zod, and he's somebody who's on par with your strength. To go ahead and just snap Luthor's neck is come on, it's kind of like stepping on an ant.
Yeah.
I think that's actually why I kind of like the idea that he killed Zod. Now, it would have been different if he would have killed Zod just out of anger. If he would have just been like, dude, knock it off, and just bang, 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 just punched him until he's fucking dead. But the fact that he was just don't do this, and then they had him do it, actually snap his neck, and then just kind of cry about it.
Yeah, it was his only course of action, and that was the problem. And you've got to the point where he's killed one character, and this is what happened with Batman. He in the first Batman film with Michael Keaton, that's where it got popular. He kills the Joker.
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah, and then he ends up, killing then the Penguin ends up getting killed.
And he kills Two-Face too.
Then Two-Face ends up getting killed, and you're just like.
But then he doesn't kill anybody in the horrible Batman and Robin. He should have killed everybody in that movie.
He should have killed himself in that movie.
Should have killed Robin. He should have killed.
No, that should have been the finale. Alicia Silverstone butt naked.
Oh god.
He should have just left Alfred to die.
He did die in that movie, didn't he?
No, he almost did.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like, oh, I'm doing this way.
Oh no,
for some
the actor
reason.
died. That's right.
Yeah, he died after the movie.
It killed him. It was like a Raul Julia, like Street Fighter did to Raul Julia.
But that's what really annoys me. It's one of those things where you sit there and think, really, does it need to go this route? Could you have done something different from that? That's the only thing that I sort of looked at and thought, you know what? Apparently he did it in one of the comics as well. It was in Exiled, so I've got to check that comic book out. I will do, and maybe that will sway my opinion on this. By doing stuff like that, you have a sense of taking away what actually made the character great. And Superman was a character we could all invest in because it wasn't just he was superhuman, he held the American values. Killing a motherfucker by snapping his neck because he's going to collapse.
That's pretty American. I don't know.
That would have been hilarious if he would have just snapped the neck and been like, America!
Fuck yeah! But that's the thing. For me...
You see General Swanwick in the background and he's just like, fuck! Whoa! Like, starts waving a flag.
Yeah, baby!
Truth, justice, and decapitations.
You're taking away everything that makes him that American symbol. And it's like Spider-Man, naturally, he's tortured. So you're going to torture the fuck out of the guy because he's been butt raped by Marvel Comics. So you're going to do that. That's fine. You can go that route. Same goes for the Hulk. But having it with, say, like Captain America, for instance, and torturing the fuck out of him, that's not going to work. The same goes for Tony Stark. You can only go so far. If you kill off Pepper Potts, then you end up taking away a piece of Stark. And that's what they're doing here with Superman. You take away a piece of his identity by doing something like this. So you have to be very careful on how you actually play this.
We're going to go around
I
the
don't
horn
think we
here.
have to worry about that.
And we're going to say our final thoughts, kind of. Chris, what, in kind of like an overall perspective, what were your thoughts about this movie and where it kind of stands in the Superman series, I guess you could say?
I mean, I think it was a solid setup for a second movie. You know, I really enjoyed the whole themes of choice and all that kind of stuff because that's actually, those themes are what attracted me to Superman. I never liked Superman when I was a kid, and I started to like Superman a lot more when I got older, and I realized like that those principles, like he could kill all of us if he wants to. He doesn't. He's a good guy. He grew up in America. He's all American, all that kind of stuff. That whatever.
Fuck yeah.
But you know, he doesn't want to be a threat. You know, he'd rather just be our savior. And I always thought that was really cool. So I think that was a really good. I mean, the movie was a really good way to solidify like that part of his character for a next movie. And I do agree with the killing of Zod and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was poetry. But thinking it like about all the flaws that we discussed, you know, I mean, there was things wrong with it. Obviously, it's not perfect. You know what I mean? But is it better than The Dark Knight? No. Will any superhero movie ever be better than The Dark Knight? Probably not. I think that everybody just needs to get over that and just realize that like what the movie is for what it is.
I'm not comparing it to a Dark Knight movie at all.
No, I mean, I'm saying you guys necessarily. I'm just saying, like, I hear that a lot, like, just talking to people, like, everybody's comparing it to The Dark Knight. Everybody's always comparing every superhero movie to The Dark Knight. It's like, that's not what every movie's going to be. It won't ever have that shock value, that lore, that legend around it. Like, Heath Ledger fucking died. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only reason I don't know, one of the only reasons that movie was so huge is that everybody's all scared of it. You know what I mean? Like, there was the whole mysticism of him dying because he played the Joker and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I feel like if that was taken away from that movie, there'd be a lot
less buzz around it.
Yeah, you know? I mean,
I agree.
Not saying like, fuck you, Heath Ledger or anything, but...
That's exactly what you say, you bitch! No, I'm joking.
You're trying to argue that WB should have killed Michael Shannon in this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
How dare you say that about an Oscar-winning actor who was in Brokeback Mountain and he ended up mounting another man? How dare you?
Dude, that guy was also in 8 Mile.
Who, Heath Ledger?
No, not... Oh, we were talking about... I'm talking about Michael Shannon.
I'm talking about Heath Ledger and the fact that he, like, bum-raped Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, that's true. That did happen.
And then got bum-raped by Jake Gyllenhaal.
And then Jake Gyllenhaal's sister replaced Katie Holmes in Dark Knight.
That must have been awkward. Hey, how's it going? I fucked your brother, but it was only in a film.
Shaun, what were your overall thoughts?
Well, I thought the film was bad. Even worse than Superman 3, so...
No,
I got hopes for the sequel.
No.
Yeah.
Really worse than Superman 3?
Oh, yeah.
Was that the Quest for Peace? Superman 3
that
was
was
the quest.
4. That was 4.
That was number 4. Number 3 was the dude with the computer.
Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor was a computer nerd.
Yeah, I didn't understand what the fuck that motherfucker was doing in that movie. The only fun about that movie was the fact that he just had a little red cape on and flew around like he was Superman. He's like, I'm Superman, see? And he rips his shirt. And I'm just like, Richard Pryor, you crazy ass fool.
To break it up here, I'm going to split this in the center with Paden. Now, I know you haven't seen the movie, but based off of what we were saying, and this kind of like devoted, crazy fanboy kind of perspective, when you do eventually see the movie, what is going to, like, out of what we've said, what do you think you're going to be excited about? What do you think you're going to just hate?
To be honest, nothing you guys were talking about even really interested me. I mean, I was never a huge Superman fan to begin with. I'm not a comic book reader. I've seen various movies. Oh, I love the video game on Nintendo 64. One of my favorite video games of all time.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But I'm a huge Zack Snyder fan, which is the only reason I had even a passing interest in seeing this movie. And a lot of the things that you're saying that or at least that seem to be bothering people, or you guys seem to be looking at as negatives, are things that I don't think I would care about because I'm not as familiar with the backstory, what he is. I mean, I can see this as just a completely fresh story, and everything I'm seeing is like, oh yeah, that's how that is.
Yeah, so it wouldn't bother you that, like, the natural birth storyline, because you would be like, all right, well, I'll just go with it. Like,
yeah,
you'd be having that outsider perspective that maybe they kind of depended on a little bit to try to. Will do things. I mean, it's kind of like what fan fiction does every once in a while. You see somebody create some new laws for something just because they like that better.
Well, you had to have known that they were going to be going in that direction once they hired Zack Snyder to do it.
Yeah, no, he does.
Wait. Did I hear you say that you were a huge Zack Snyder fan?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that ever.
You're full of shit. There's a lot of Zack Snyder fans.
I've
never heard anyone say that out loud.
I'm a Zack Schneider fan as well.
Oh my god!
That's
what do you have against Zack Snyder? What's a bad movie?
300.
300 was badass.
It was
badass.
I mean, I guess if that's all you. I mean, I don't know. We're not gonna have
I'm
this
I'm a big Rob Schneider fan.
Then you don't belong on this podcast.
Rob Schneider is the Man of Steel.
Yeah, he's gonna play Lex Luthor.
Oh
no, he's actually gonna play like a steel pole.
That's interesting. Would you guys go see that movie if he played Lex Luthor?
Oh yeah,
I would have to see it.
And Zack Snyder directed again.
Well, I went into the movie with the Zack Snyder thing. I haven't seen 300 because I don't like that kind of stuff. Like I'm gonna catch hell for this. I thought Gladiator was stupid.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff either.
Yeah, it's just not my kind of thing. I don't like.
It was still a revenge movie.
I just like. Here's the thing about Zack Snyder that I don't understand. I don't understand how he can have so much praise and all this stuff. He's never done an original movie. All he does is remakes and adaptations. Like, I mean, they're fun to watch, but like, I've never seen an original idea of his on screen, and that's what I don't like about it.
Okay, what's your original story?
What's my original story?
Mm-hmm.
What does that have to do with anything? That's not about.
Why are you holding him to such high standards? Like,
because I like to see original ideas.
There's no such thing as an original idea. Everything that you see and praise so much is based off of something else that's existed before.
That's actually true. Everything
of course that's true. Of course that's true. That's not.
Shakespeare was written off the Italians.
That doesn't mean that that's the end all be all. Like, okay, so that's basically saying that nobody can ever make anything ever original ever again. Nobody can come out with anything that has nothing to do with something else.
No, but it's very, very, very rare.
I think what Chris is basically just trying to say is instead of doing like if the next movie that Zack Snyder does, if he does it another comic book, or he adapts, like if he would have done The Great Gatsby instead of just doing whoever, this horrible fucking example, I don't know why this popped in my mind, but like whoever ended up creating the Fast and Furious series. Like, yeah, we've had
Jason Chow, whatever his name.
We've had car movies before, and this person created a new set of car movies that's something different instead of just doing the French Connection or something,
or the Italian Job or something like that.
Yeah,
or
I think
the Need for Speed movie that's going to be total shit.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Oh yeah, that's going to be horrible.
You could tell that's got. If they did Need for Speed Most Wanted, it probably would work. But that's for another podcast.
I would just like Zack Snyder to do to write something. And
he's not a writer though; he's a director.
Yeah, maybe
work
do somebody
with
else. Work with an original writer. Work with somebody who can write.
You know what, Paden?
You know?
I think I understand what Chris is getting at. It's just on the fact. You know, as you guys always say about lens flares when you talk about was it J.J. Abrams?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You talk about lens flares all the time. Now, with Zack Snyder, his theme for most of his movies, for every movie he's ever done, is dark tones. It's always dark, gloomy, aggressive. It's kind of sort of a bro film, you know? Oh, I'm manly. I'm pumped up because I watched a Zack Snyder film. Let's watch 300 again. We are Spartan! And he does that. And it's like the one thing that I hated about Watchmen was the sex scenes, because they just seemed
they were really long and gratuitous as well.
And they looked really awkward as well and aggressive. It was just like, yes, I'm having sex. Look, I'm having sex with her. Ah! And you just sit there and you think, okay, just get it over and done with. And there was no passion in it. And you sit there and you can see it. And
it's ironic because Zack Snyder's never actually had sex.
But that's the whole premise of his films. They're very aggressive, they're very angry, they're very laddish, and it showed a lot of that in the Man of Steel movie. And even though I love his work and I respect his work, I felt he could have taken that movie in a whole different direction if he wanted to.
Yeah, I don't really have so much of a problem with it being like dark. It's like you were saying, where the sex scenes, it's just like, okay, yeah, they're having sex. It's because he doesn't make the characters like interact with each other. It's like,
yeah, boom, bitch.
They just get right to the point. It's like the plot is rushed. Like the Man of Steel's plot seemed like they wanted to make 4 films and throw in the one real quick.
Yeah.
I feel like DC just keeps letting me down time after time.
I don't think it's DC. I think a lot of that as well has got to do with the writing, because the direction. There's certain things, like certain aspects of a movie that you have, and there are a few sides. And I call this a trifecta. You have actors, you have writers, and you have directors. You have everybody else that sort of sets the tone, the lighting, the sound, and sort of the makeup and stuff like that. But they're sort of like the ancillary stuff. The trifecta is usually the writing, the acting, and the direction.
But don't they have some type of quality control? Doesn't DC have some type of oversight on who's doing the writing, who's doing the casting?
The producers have their knees deep in a lot of this stuff. And if a producer is like what Kevin Smith was saying, did you know about Superman he was doing like Superman is Dead, apparently. He was going to do that movie. He was going to direct it.
No, Superman Lives.
Superman Lives, that was it. And then the director
with Nick Cage.
Yeah, then the producer, no, it wasn't going to be Nick Cage, but apparently he signed on after him. But the producer was going, I want spiders. Can we have Superman
he's got to fight a spider in the third act. He can't wear the suit because it's too faggy.
Yeah.
Wait,
he
what?
can't. Yeah, apparently it was the 3 rules, according to Kevin Smith, were no suit because it's too faggy. That was the quote that he said. He doesn't want to see him fly, and he has to fight a spider in the third act.
And that's the problem when you've got production.
No, he totally had to have been joking.
No.
He was being serious, apparently. Yeah.
If you've got producers involved in the movie, and apparently it happened in Superman Returns as well, didn't it?
What?
Spider thing?
What, he fought a spider?
I think so. I don't know.
No, he didn't buy a spider in Superman.
There's probably something else, but he did.
They did have an animated show where, an animated film where they had him fight. Toyman had a giant spider, and they put one of the people in the crowd was Kevin Smith, and he just goes, "A spider, really?"
That was
Wait,
it.
For real?
That was in That was in Superman, The Death and Life of Superman, I think, the animated version that they did. We had the clone and stuff.
Superman Doomsday.
Superman Doomsday, that was it.
Really? I still haven't watched that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so They changed the thing is they when a producer gets involved in a film, it can lose any part of its integrity because that guy says, "Well, I want this to happen. I want that to happen. I don't want that casting choice. I want this casting choice." And the directors basically got their hands tied because all they have to focus on is what's going on set. If that actor's doing their thing, that actor's doing their thing, and everything's coming together, that's what the director focuses on. But the producers actually are the guys that have the last say on it. It's not as bad in theatre, but it's terrible in film and television because you could have some guys work bastardized because a producer sits there and saying, "Well, I'm paying for this, so this is what I want."
Well,
So
Paden, if you're going to see it, or you are going to see it, right?
I'm sure I'll see it at some point. I mean, I'm not rushing to it. It's not the movie I'm most excited to see this summer by a long shot, but
It'll be a download or something.
It'll be like if someone else has it around, I'll actually pay attention to it, or if I have the opportunity to watch it by some other means. Yeah, it could be a download. It could be a red box. We'll see.
Yeah. But you're basically going to see it because it's a Zack Snyder film more so than a Superman movie.
Yes. And even that, like, because it's a Superman, I don't really like many superhero movies, especially Superman. I mean, Superman just bores me.
Matt, what are your overall thoughts?
Overall, a letdown. I had the highest hopes for this movie, especially with Nolan's stamp of approval on it. But all in all, letdown. It's still better than Superman Returns because that was just god awful. But just all in all, it's not the Superman I grew up with. That, and I know The Dark Knight wasn't the same Batman I grew up with, but I know how we were saying that everybody always compares it to The Dark Knight, but why not? Why not compare it to that? If you're going to be a great film and a great superhero film, step your game up, and it didn't do it.
But the thing is, you have a positive. It's like the Tim Burton films. You can compare them to the Dark Knight trilogy because they both had the same sort of undertones. They were very dark. They had this mystique about them, and in a sense, you could see how the character grows. But in Batman Begins, the character goes through a journey. And it's the same journey that you see in the Superman film, but it's quicker. A lot of it's been pushed together and been focused on in snippets and cuts in little memories and stuff like that are going through in this film. So it's not a bad thing, but in a sense, this is the kind of thing that you have to get used to in the film business. Nothing's ever going to be amazing unless somebody actually gets their film produced independently, because it's like a big for instance here. You've got a guy like Ang Lee who can put together an awesome independent film, but sometimes his films bomb when he's going mainstream because there's a lot that people want from him that he has to make a compromise for, and because you make those compromises, the film will suffer.
So that kind of your overall thoughts, Burhan?
Yeah. In a sense, it's a good movie. Don't get me wrong, very good movie in terms of my favourites are Cavill, and I also liked Russell Crowe as well, which I can't say actually favourably a lot about him, but I did like him in this movie. There was a lot of things that I thought were wrong in terms of characters. The supporting cast needs to be strengthened a lot, and the story needs to be a lot better. And I really do hope and pray they don't take Superman down this dark road that they're heading at the moment. But that's pretty much it from me on that.
What was the point that you were just going to make, Matt, before I cut you off?
Oh, I was going to say, even with me trash talking it as much as I have, if and when the sequel comes out, I will go see it. But I still don't forgive it for making me have to see a sequel. It should stand alone by itself and hold up, and it doesn't to me right now. Because if they never were to make a sequel, it would be shit to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you, because I have kind of the same overall thoughts. I think what they did right, they did damn right. And the action, it's great that they actually had somebody he could fight. I thought that the cameos that they threw in there were done really well, but then it's it's kind of that split thing. They either did it right or they could have done it so much better. The cameos were great, but as much as it was cool that they had Steve Lombard in this, they made him a grandfather instead of somebody who should be kind of closer to Clark's age.
Yeah, that was questionable on that one. And it's asking all these young girls out. Well, not very young. They all are women, but still.
Yeah, you have the Ace of Clubs bar, which makes me go, oh, that's awesome. And you add Turan into this, and Jaxer, and Feora, but you don't add Jimmy Olsen, like that kind of a thing. I think that Henry is great as Superman, and he'll do even better in the sequel, but Amy Adams is not going to get any better as Lois. I think that
she's very one-dimensional.
The natural birth thing is a cool concept. It's a little over the top, but I think that if they can find a way to do that into the comics, it would be good. I was really annoyed that Zod basically was Brainiac in this movie. If you combine him with all the nanotech kind of stuff that they were doing, it's essentially they did Brainiac without doing Brainiac. But I liked the alien invasion angle. I hope that comes into the comics somewhere. There's a lot of stuff I really liked, particularly the very end line, "Welcome to the planet." That fucking blew me out of the water. I really liked that, and then the stuff that annoyed the living crap out of me. So, entertaining movie, but damn it, they just couldn't get the formula right. And I think it's a matter of they needed one more fanboy to tell them that kind of stuff, and they needed one more writer, or possibly for Christopher Nolan to step in a little bit more to just go, you guys are kind of rushing this a little bit, and then that's it. Then they'd be fine. But we kind of talked about everything like this. We're going to talk more Superman eventually. I mean, this is a once a month kind of thing, and I'm sure we'll get around to just talking about Superman, whether or not he's a dick or like.
Let me ask you a quick question, though, Tony. Would you say that this is on the same level as Amazing Spider-Man?
I think it's exactly the same as Amazing Spider-Man. It's flawed in very similar aspects, and
basically, it was a rush job.
It was a rush job that proves that you can do the elements that sucked from the previous movies, but also proves that if you don't do the ones that were good from the other ones, then you're missing half the ingredients still. You have to have for a yin-yang situation, you need both the black and the white. You can't just make it all the one thing, and you can't make it all the gray area either. You have to kind of marry both sections. So the only thing left to do is to plug stuff, and I'll go the reverse here. Burhan?
Check out my channel, www.nerdgenius.com, NERDGENIUS, youtube.com, The Nerdgenius, NERDGENIUS. I'm covering a lot of Microsoft the last week, talking about recently I've just uploaded a video on the no DRM policy that they've recanted on and did a whole 180 on, so check that video out. I was the first one to do it. Everybody else followed, so get me some hits, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm doing a little competition at the moment as well, if you want to get in on that. I'm going to do one next week to win an Xbox game, so stay tuned to that. I also write for fanboysanonymous.com. I'm on podcasts, Mark Out Moments, Smack Talk, Mike Paden's Keeping Kayfabe, and I'm also debuting on Mega Powers Radio with a podcast I've been doing for a long time called I Got Gameplay. So check that out, guys. And there's loads more content to come, so stay tuned. All
right, Matt, anything you want to plug?
I want to plug a couple things. I have a website I'm about to launch in a couple weeks. Me and a buddy of mine, Chasconia, we're launching. It's going to be called loopcity.com. It's going to be any news that anybody really cares about. All fanboy stuff, movie reviews, music reviews, all that good stuff. You can follow me on Twitter at MattJPress or friend me on Facebook at MattPress.
What about Sound Beats?
If you like music at all, you can listen to some of my beats on my SoundCloud, and that's Press Beats.
All right, Paden?
All right, well, I know I wasn't very active on this, but if for any reason you highly enjoyed the sound of my voice and you want to hear me say other things, you can find me personally on various social networks under the handle MRPADEN. That's Mr. Paden to all of you. I'm on the Facebooks, I'm on the Twitters, I'm on the Instagrams. I just joined Vine. I haven't actually performed a Vine yet, but in time, I'm still kind of figuring out this newfangled technology they got going on there.
Is that what it's called, performing a Vine?
Yeah. I'm sure there's some kind of technical term to it, kind of like tweeting. Maybe there's like a leafing. I don't know. Also going to push Keeping Kayfabe, which is my wrestling podcast, where wrestling is still real to us.
Damn it!
It's real to me, damn it.
Always is. We are a live wrestling radio podcast that airs on Dream Elite Radio, which is at blogtalkradio.com/Dream Elite, which airs live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. head-to-head with TNA Impact. We're going to be putting them out of business during this Thursday Night Wars period that we have going on. Also going to be pushing Mega Powers Radio, which you heard Mr. Michael Burhan mention a minute ago. It is a whole radio station that I am launching myself, blogtalkradio.com/Mega Powers Radio. We're doing lots of cool things, such as WWE pay-per-view pre-shows, Monday Night Raw post-shows. Me and my friend Brennan just launched Geek Speak, which is a general nerdery show, and we're going to have I Got Gameplay on there as well, as Mr. Burhan pushed earlier. And one last thing I will push is Newbie TV, www.new-b.tv, which is an original web channel that I have for all types of videos, which can be reviews, original web series that I create, play-alongs, whatever other type of video game-related type things we feel like posting. So check that out. I think I got all the projects out there. Got too much shit.
And a special shout out for Newbie TV because it's a great channel, guys. I started watching it and I've been hooked ever since.
Oh, what a sweet man.
Shaun, anything you want to plug?
Just catch my stuff on Fanboys. I'm new, so hopefully
you got
I'll
a
be
couple
able to do
things out
this
there.
more stuff. And just follow me on Twitter, Shaughnessy2K37. Must be done.
Michael Burhan certified.
And Chris?
You can follow me on Twitter at Plastic Villains. I write for darlingdork.com, some video game related articles. I got a IGN blog. You can find that. Chris Locs, Locs. And if you like music, you can go into Spotify and type in Plastic Villains or Outlaws and Preachers. And you can also follow me on SoundCloud, Chris Locs, Locs.
All right, so that leaves me off. As you guys obviously know, I'm the owner-operator of fanboysanonymous.com. You can check out all of the things that we're coming up with lately. A lot of new topics. We've just added a section for celebrity gossip and news. We have cosplay now. We have completely added the internet section with memes and everything like that. We're going to have that coming up.
Can I just make a special shout out? While I was not talking here, I was still remained busy at work, and I am crafting my next set of articles for Fanboys Anonymous, which will fall under the cosplay section, and it's going to be the hottest outfits of Jessica Nigri.
Nice. So check that out. I'm sure everybody's going to check that out.
Yes.
Did he just say
I'll
nigger?
be checking. No, Niggery.
There's the section for collectibles now. We've got tabletop games if you're into card games and board games and anything like that. Even chess, literature, theater stuff, artwork. We're really adding a lot to this. It's not just the typical core group of the comic books, movies, video games, and TV. There's also technology and music. I forgot to mention those. So if you're interested in writing for any of these as well, you can shoot me a message on the contact form on the website. We're looking to expand the contributing rosters as much as possible. So, check that out. Go back and check the other episodes of the monthly podcast. We've done about 7 of these, I think, so far. So, if you enjoyed this one, you'll enjoy those as well. And next month, we're going to be coming up with another one. I'm not quite sure what the topic is going to be yet. But if I remember correctly, the main film that is coming out next month, because we're kind of basing this off of movies for the most part, until there's, that lull where no real movies end up happening. But
then we'll make the show about me.
It's the main one is going to be Wolverine, so we'll probably have some kind of an X-Men themed show. Maybe Wolverine itself. Maybe we'll just maybe we'll talk about the animated series. I doubt we would do a whole thing on the Lone Ranger, so screw that. But fanboysanonymous.com, check that out at Twitter at Fanboy Anonymous, because they one fucking letter off, damn it. And facebook.com/fanboysanonymous. If you're into wrestling, you can check smarkoutmoment.com, my website about that, as well as the YouTube podcast, which unlike this is not every month, it's every week. youtube.com/smarkoutmoment for Smack Talk, which features Paden and Burhan and many, many other people that are on the Fanboys Anonymous team. If you are just interested in social commentary, you want to hear me bitch about everything random, like why do we have stupid warning labels for the idiots in the world, or I think one of the highest rated ones is Amish people are stupid. But anything from why I hate Twitter and should you put the toilet seat up or down, just normal kind of random crap like that, go to outonlimbs.com. Might have a YouTube channel starting up soon about that. I'm not quite sure, but twitter.com and facebook.com/amangotree and Tony Mango. You will find all of this kind of nonsense. So stay tuned for all that kind of stuff coming your way. Fanboys Anonymous meeting has been adjourned. We will see you next time, everybody.